Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Inspiring Moments with Kaylin radio show. I am your host, Kaylin John Louis, and I am thrilled to have you join me today on the show. I hope everybody is doing well. Welcome to February. It's a new month, a new opportunity for possibilities, and just a new reason to tell God thank you. You made it to the second month in 2025. Not many people thought they would be there, and I didn't even think I'd be here because life just be life and sometimes. But I thank God for every opportunity I have to be able to speak with you all and be able to share something inspirational. For those listening, this show aims to inspire you to discover and become the best version of yourself. Last month I was giving you motivation and inspiration. I had celebrated 3 years on the radio and I'm still beaming from that. But as we move into the year, I'm excited for the month of February because I plan on talking about quite a few things. I want to stick to my Black history, towards the end, but I'm going to still say happy Black History Month to all my Black people. I am so happy to celebrate where we were, how far we have come, and where we are going. And I am just excited because of the fact that we have so much going on in the world and they really don't want to teach our history anymore. So I'm Black every part of the year, but this time of the year, I'm going to be Blackity Black. But anywho, I encourage you to download the Hallelujah 95.3 app to listen to the show on the go on your electronic devices. Also, tag a friend, tag somebody you know, tag a loved one, have them listen in to today's discussion because today I'm really going to be talking about something that you just don't want to miss. It's a topic for me that I feel like is so important, is for such a time as this. Y'all know Valentine's Day is right around the corner and love is definitely in the air. People are preparing to get their gifts for their loved ones, and I'm going to put this plug in there. If you just get somebody you love or tell somebody you love something only on Valentine's Day, that's an issue. You need to show your love all day, every day. But love is in the air right now. And whether you're celebrating with a significant other, spending time with friends, or showing love to yourself, this season reminds us of the importance of relationships. But love isn't just about giving, it's about protecting your peace, setting boundaries, and making sure you're in healthy, uplifting spaces. That's why today, in honor of embracing the spirit of love, I want to talk about something that goes hand in hand with it, which is love and boundaries. Because real love, whether in friendships, relationships, or even family, requires respect, communication, and understanding your worth. I'm going to say those three things again. It requires respect, communication, and understanding your worth. So join me as I discuss love and boundaries, the key to healthy relationships. Y'all, God gave this to me out of nowhere. Well, I really wouldn't say out of nowhere because honestly, I think it's something y'all ever know when y'all are going through things and then God gives you a word and you say, wow, God, were you really talking to me? Because sometimes we wonder just if He is speaking to us through our life situations. And for some people, He does. A lot of times, that's what He does for me. And I think just in the last few months of 2024 that we just ended, even beginning these months, I've had to learn the more and more I've gotten busy, the more and more I've become an adult, the more and more I've evolved and consistently evolved as a person, how important love and boundaries are. Because we talk about love and we talk about boundaries, but we don't put them together often because we're afraid. Sometimes setting that foundation is what's hard because we get in family relationships, work relationships, romantic relationships, friend relationships. We get in spaces, even when we have relationships socially, whether you're a content creator and you have a relationship between you and your followers, we get in so many different categories, so many different type of relationships, and sometimes it's hard for us to define what boundaries are, why they're important, and it's hard for people to set them. That's actually one of the main things people avoid doing in relationships because of the fact that they are either afraid that when they make that boundary that a person won't respect it, or that the boundary may be too harsh for other people, so you sit with all the stuff that's weighing on you instead of embracing that boundary. And today I really want you to get out of that mentality, especially in the month of love. We're celebrating Valentine's Day. Maybe for Valentine's Day, you got to set a boundary this year. Or maybe you have to look at your relationships and evaluate whether or not they're healthy. That's what I'm talking about. The key to healthy relationships. That's how you maintain healthy relationships when you set boundaries. So I said all that to introduce the topic, but let's get into the basics. What is a boundary? What are boundaries? Why are they important? And so boundaries are about self-respect and not shutting people out. Many people think that setting boundaries means that you're distancing yourself or you're unloving to people, but in reality, it's about knowing your worth and protecting your peace. Boundaries protect your energy, your emotional well being, and mental health. And without them, you're risked at being drained, overextended, and even resentful in your relationships. I don't know if it's just me, but there's been times where I've overworked or I've put so much into a friendship, so much into a family relationship, so much into a work relationship, or so much into things, and it's draining me more than it's uplifting me, than it's building me. And at that moment, when I realized I was drained or my cup was, feeling empty, it wasn't being poured into, I was overextending myself. That's when I realized that I had to learn how to set a boundary. I remember having conversations with my mom, with my dad, with mentors, with just different people where sometimes they say, well, Kaylin, you might have to distance yourself from that person or maybe not talk to that person as much or, add different, things to it about, or just you have to set boundaries. And the biggest lesson that you have to learn to even understand why boundaries are important is the meaning of no. Saying no is a form of self care. I say that all the time. People say that all the time, but it's so true because if you never say no, you are teaching people that your needs do not matter. Let me say that again. When you never say no, you are teaching people that your needs don't matter. Boundaries allow you to be your best self, not just for you, but for other people around you. Because, like I said earlier, when you don't learn how to step back from some responsibilities, when you don't learn how to say, okay, as much as I would love to do this, or I'd love to take on another opportunity, another job, I would love to be your friend and be able to be there. Sometimes for yourself, if it keeps you up at night, or sometimes it drains you so much more. And when you don't say no, people think that, oh, well, she didn't say no to this, so I'm just going to keep asking and I'm going to keep overusing that person's kindness, even though they may be overextending themselves. You have to learn how to say no in those things. So sometimes it does take some personal reflection. I've learned that through experiences. I've even failed to set boundaries with some friends. I had people in my life where they would always come to me at their beck and call, or they have something going on in their life. And it's always, Kaylin, can you do this? Kaylin, can you do that? Kaylin, I need advice. Kaylin, can you speak? And of course, I don't mind talking to people. I don't mind being there for people when they need me, especially when I love and care about people. But sometimes people confuse love and care with dumping. And sometimes they can dump so much of their stuff on you that it starts weighing on you. And now you've unexpectedly or unintentionally become their therapist, and you never intended to be there. Why? Because the boundary wasn't set. And so there were times in relationships with friends and family where I failed to set boundaries, and it led to unnecessary stress, unnecessary times. But right now, in this moment where I am in my life, in this season of my life, I cannot do anything more but prioritize my peace. And I've noticed a shift in how people treat me when I set boundaries and protect my energy, especially lately. I mean, all the people, being transparent with everybody, like I do so much throughout my college and throughout my school. And so there'll be times when people, Kaylin, can you do this? Kaylin, can you do that? And when I first got on campus, I've always been very big on, well, I want to put my foot in the door. So yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll do that. But the more and the busier and busier I've gotten, and the more and more I continue to recognize the importance of my mental health, my physical health, everything in between, I've learned that I have to prioritize my peace and sometimes delegate the responsibility to somebody else, or politely say, you know what, I can't do this. I don't want to commit to something that I know I can't do. I've been saying that a lot lately because sometimes it's not that I can't actually do it. Like, I have the capabilities to do something, but the question you have to ask yourself, and I've had to ask myself, is do you need to do it though? because there's always something that people are going to need, right? So that's just that big one. But we're going to move in a little bit more to learning to say no, because that's a very big piece. That's a difference between love versus people pleasing, because I'm a retired people pleaser. I'm getting better at it. I used to do a lot of stuff, y'all, and a lot of people say that. But I used to be a big people pleaser. I'm getting out of it and I'm learning to say no, because a lot of times when you love somebody without boundaries, you lead yourself to burnout and resentment. And if you give and give without limits, you will eventually feel drained. And real love respects limits. I'm going to say that once more. Real love respects limits. When people love you and care about you, as much as it may feel sucky because they would want you to do something, or they would rather something be a certain way, they will respect you and respect that, okay, she can't do that. And that's okay, because I know she's had a long week, or I know she's involved in a bunch of things. But the one thing that you have to know is, in order to maintain these healthy relationships, you're going to have to learn how to say no. You're going to have to learn how to not be a people pleaser when you're in a relationship with your significant other. And I don't know everything about relationships, but I have learned, even in experiencing around my friends, or experiencing other people, or just simply, talking stages with people, like, you learn that you have to say no. And healthy relationships will always respect your no without questioning your loyalty. So many people love to jump to that when you say no. Oh, you don't want to be loyal to me. No, that's not the case. If somebody loves you and values you, they will not guilt trip you for setting boundaries, because it's normal to prioritize yourself. Not in a way that becomes selfish, but it's normal for you to have moments where you say, "Nah, I need to prioritize myself." Or even if it's for those who are in college, you have people saying, "All right, let come out with us," or "There's this event going on campus," or "You're not going out to this, not going out to that." Sometimes you're prioritizing yourself by saying, "Nah, I need to stay in, and I need to get myself together. I need to get my priorities straight. I need to get my work done, or make sure that I have everything together before I can, go out." Or even if it's in work and people are asking you to do things, you have to be able to know that you shouldn't feel guilt tripped for setting boundaries. I have a friend right now. She is, we've been best friends. We were in college. We go to two different colleges right now, and we don't live in the same state right now. But we both can respect each other's boundaries and each other's no without questioning each other's loyalty, because we both know the commitments that we have. So yes, make sure that you are learning that. And then self-love means prioritizing your mental and emotional health. You cannot pour into others if you're empty. You cannot pour from an empty cup. I can tell you, because I get the common misconception all the time that because I coined myself as Inspiring K, or Inspiring Moments with Kaylin, everybody thinks that at all points in times that I have to be inspirational, or that I have to be this, or I have to be that. And I've learned that's not going to happen all the time. Like, yes, God will give me the words to speak to people at the right moments, but sometimes when I've gone so much and I've poured so much into other people, there comes a point within me where I physically am too drained to do that. And it's okay to prioritize that. When you establish boundaries with others, it allows you to be present without sacrificing yourself. You can still be there for other people. You can still love other people and show up for other people at points in time, while still saying no to other things. That's the difference between love and people pleasing. Because let me tell you something real big. And I know that it's different for some people, and you may love your family so much, you may love that friend so much, and you may have some unconditional amount of love for someone in your life. But unconditional love does not always mean unconditional access. Healthy love comes with healthy limits. So saying no doesn't make you mean, it makes you mindful of your time. Sometimes we love people so much, but if the more and more they have access in our life, the more and more they have influence in our life, the more and more they can drain us more than they are helping us. But unconditional love And healthy love comes with healthy limits, even when you're establishing relationships. I mean, I'm growing up, my parents teach me or have taught me in the past, even when it comes to having healthy friendships, like you can't always be in spaces where you give access to everything in your life. You can't tell everybody your goals and your dreams. Maybe the people close to you, and you want to make sure the people in your corner that you can talk to about things, but you can't tell everybody every waking thing about you because not everybody has the best intentions. And that's the boundary part. We set boundaries to protect ourselves. It is a defense mechanism for some people when they set boundaries because they're protecting themselves, or they're protecting themselves from something or from someone. So you can't give everybody access to who you are. So that's the second phase. Like I said in the beginning, you set that foundation first. You have to ask yourself, what are boundaries for you? Why are they important? Number two, what I just said is learning the difference between love versus people pleasing, which is learning to say no. And then we move on to the third step where we go a little bit more into the different relationships that we talk about when it comes to love and boundaries, right? First, starting with romantic relationships, and that's simply recognizing red flags and green flags. I mean, we talk about them all the time on social media, how people have red flags. And so, if you don't understand, red flags show someone doesn't respect your boundaries. That's the big thing. Everybody loves to say, oh, if this person does this, is my non negotiable. Yes, you need to keep it that way. I think sometimes we sacrifice our red flags because somebody may be cute, somebody may be attractive, somebody may be this, and we can ignore that red flag for all the other good stuff that they do. But y'all pay attention to them red flags, especially with Valentine's Day coming up. I'm just saying. But some red flags that you should be aware of is when people pressure you to do things you're uncomfortable with, especially in romantic relationships. That is not okay. Another one is when they don't listen when you express your needs. That is not okay. The last thing I can think of too is when they make you feel guilty for wanting personal space or time. I don't care whatever relationship you're in, but especially in romantic relationships, it's okay to give yourself personal space and time. In fact, you do need it because you may spend so much time with a person and you may love somebody so much, but you don't want to get lost into somebody that's your entire life now. You have nothing else to show for yourself. You got to be able to have some time for yourself. Recognize those red flags. But the opposite, the good thing is green flags. And green flags are when people respect your boundaries. They communicate open and honestly with you. They don't take offense when you need time for yourself. And they make an effort to understand and respect your needs. That's huge. Please look for those three things in romantic relationships because boundaries set the tone for respect in relationships. If someone can't respect your boundaries early on, whether it's in a talking stage, a situationship, a crush stage, it's a sign that that relationship may not be healthy in the long run. And I need us to recognize that and not ignore that simply because we want love. God provides us love all day, every day. You don't have to look for that in somebody else just because of the fact that you want it. If you don't know what love is, you got to look within first. Look within yourself and be able to learn to love yourself. But most importantly, God shows us love every single day. If you want to show the greatest symbol of love, the greatest, extent of love, read the Bible. God shows it all the time. But boundaries are going to be the thing that help your relationship, that are the key to healthy relationships. So that's just the romantic relationship part. I'm going to hop off that because I don't want anybody to think I'm coming for them. I'm not. I'm just being real. Then we go to the next part of a different relationship boundary, which is with your friendships and family. Because in fact, setting boundaries with the people you love can be so hard to do, especially with your parents, with your grandmas, your aunts, your uncles, with your siblings. Because the thing about that is when you grow up around your friends and your family, they have this big figment imagination of you when you were a baby, when you were little, when you couldn't think for yourself. And so when you grow and get older, they may resist the change of you actually growing. And so when you enforce that first boundary, especially when you go from being in high school to college and it's enforcing boundaries with your parents or with your family members that no, I won't be doing this anymore. Or if you don't reach out to me every holiday, I'm not reaching out to you every holiday. When you start enforcing boundaries with your family, some people may react negatively, not because you're wrong, but because they were used to having unlimited access to you, especially when you growing up. They have unlimited access to you. You know why? Because at the end of the day, you were a tiny child to them. You were under your parents' care. You were under your family's care. But boundaries are good too in family and friend relationships. They actually strengthen your relationships. They don't weaken them. When you set limits, it allows your relationships to be built on mutual respect rather than obligation or guilt. I'm going to say that again for my friends and family who are having a hard time setting boundaries with the people they love. Setting limits allows relationships to be built on mutual respect rather than obligation or guilt. People should not have to feel obligated to love you. Yes, we have that thing where, you still love your kinfolk, you love your blood, those your people. But at the end of the day, it's so much better when you can have a family relationship or a friendship where it's built on mutual respect. Your friends should not feel obligated to love you. Yes, you want them to love you, but they're not obligated to. And if somebody truly loves you, they will respect your limits. If you have to constantly explain to your friends and your family why your boundaries matter, it may be time to reevaluate that friendship or that relationship with that family member, that friend, if they can't respect it. That's huge. And it's hard. I'm not going to lie. It's hard as you're growing up. I would not be telling you the truth if I didn't say that I don't struggle with that sometimes, because it happens. As we get older, you have to find a balance. But you have to do it, especially when it comes to friendships, especially when you love people so much as if they were your own family and they consistently disrespect your boundaries. You have to reevaluate that relationship in your life. Now we move on to a big one, because I don't think people talk about the digital boundary as much anymore, or as much as they should. But this is huge, because social media and your personal space. I know a lot of us are addicted to social media, or a lot of us are on social media. I'm not one of those people anymore. I'm getting better at it. I'm limiting my social media consumption, mainly because of my career, but also because I'm learning the difference between being a content creator and giving myself personal space. Social media should not replace your real life communication with people. And just because, I need everybody to remember this, because I think the more and more I meet celebrities, or the more and more I meet everybody is a person. Everybody is human. And just because you give somebody access to your post publicly to view, or somebody has given access to their post for you to view, does not mean that you have access to their life. That is a tiny glimpse that you get to see on the phone. And for those who are wondering, yes, it's okay to mute, unfollow, or block people for your peace. You don't owe anyone digital access to you, especially if their presence online drains you, because privacy isn't secrecy. Everybody deserves space. You don't have to share everything on social media, because I think sometimes people are just like, oh my goodness, everybody's in my business, or why everybody feel like they can have an opinion on what I wear, on what I do. You give them so much access on your phone. You give them so much access on everything that you do. Everybody deserves personal space, and you do not have to explain why you keep certain things private on social media. Protecting your space is a sign of emotional maturity. And a lot of times people are not emotionally mature enough to understand that aspect. But I really want to hone in on this to my youth, to my young adults, to my big adults, my older adults. Set those digital boundaries. We know our older adults don't always have that issue because they didn't grow up with social media. But especially to my peers and my younger people along with me, that's those in elementary and middle and high school. Y'all, when y'all are in school, y'all can have privacy and give yourself personal space. You don't have to share everything on social media. Everybody doesn't have to know what you're doing 24/7. You can give yourself space, and you don't have to allow people to say things or dictate what you do socially. All right. So I'm going to leave that there. Then the last place where things go hand in hand is faith and boundaries. Because a lot of times when we talk about the key to having healthy relationships, we lose faith. And sometimes you got to give it to God, because what they say at the end of the day, if God don't do it, it won't get done. And you have to trust God in relationships. Proverbs 4:23 says, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. And that reminds us that protecting our heart is a God-given responsibility. Everything that we do in our life flows from our heart. If we aren't protecting our heart, if we aren't keeping ourselves healthy in relationships, if we are not in a place where we are protecting and guarding our heart, then the world will do nothing but stomp on it. And it will cause us to think things we shouldn't think, have resentment towards things that we shouldn't, because at the end of the day, we've given it that much power. And we can't give it that much power. God wants us to have healthy, not toxic relationships. If a relationship consistently steals your joy, peace, or purpose, it may not be aligned with what God has for you. And I know that's hard to hear, because we can love people so much and God may remove them out of our lives with that one removal prayer. Everybody knows what that removal prayer is, where you say, God, I don't know if this person is supposed to be in my life or not, but I need you to remove them if they're not supposed to be here. You know that prayer, right? And sometimes he don't want people in your life, or most times he doesn't want people in your life who are stealing your joy, who are taking your peace, or making you drift further away from your purpose. That's not what God has for you, and that's where you have to reevaluate. Trusting God sometimes means letting go and making room for better. I know that so personally, because I've had to let go some things, let go some people, let go some old habits, let go some old mindsets, so God could make room for the blessings and the opportunity that he had for me and still has for me. Sometimes I can't talk to the people I used to talk to, or I can't hold on to the things I used to hold on to, because God is saying, I need you to let it go. Because once you release it, I promise you, I'm going to give you something better. But can you trust me to take it away? Can you trust me and put it in my hands? And sometimes that's where we get stuck. We don't put it in God's hands. We hold on to it and we sit here and we're just like, God, I'm hurting. I need help. And God is just saying, well, just give it to me. But you're wrestling with it so much. And he's saying, just give it to him. Set that boundary and give it to God. Because when you set boundaries, you make space for God to bring the right people in your life. He will bring the right people in his own timing, but you have to be watchful. You have to trust. You have to know that God is going to do what it is that he said he's going to do. You just have to trust him. So as I close, I need you to remember that boundaries are a form of self-love, self-respect, and self-care. People who genuinely care about you will honor your limits, not test them. Love without boundaries is not real love. It's attachment, obligation, or control. And last but certainly not least, don't be afraid to stand firm in your boundaries, because you are worthy of relationships that uplift, respect, and honor you. So I hope that this has inspired you, has motivated you to reevaluate those relationships. It's the season of love where everybody is thinking about that. But even as you think about those you love, or people are out here trying to get a boyfriend, trying to get a girlfriend, trying to do this, trying to do that, evaluate those relationships in your life first, especially before you spend all that money. All right, I'm done. I'm sorry. I just had to throw that in there. But thank you so much to every single person who listened to the show today. I'm so grateful for every single person who consistently motivates me to come on the show every week. You all really do push me and motivate me, because, like I said, sometimes I am drained. But my love for this, my love for my passion, the way God just shows me how much he moves in my life, it keeps me going. And so do you all with your encouraging words. I want to thank every single person who thanked me for my 3-year anniversary for radio. I am so, so grateful. I am looking forward to all what God has in store. Just some quick announcements, really quickly. They are having a conversation. It is a fireside conversation at Lee Hall, FAMU's Lee Hall, with Mr. Roy Wood Jr. He will be there. Yours truly will be emceeing the event. The doors open at 6:30 and it begins at 7 o'clock. This event is on Monday, February 10th. I need everybody to please be there if you can. Share it with your friends, your loved ones, because I would love to see your familiar faces there. Also, the Harambe Festival is coming up in Tallahassee. So if y'all haven't heard of the Harambe Festival, it is a real big time at Cascade. And everybody is normally out there. There's food and merchandise. So y'all go out there. That's going to be Saturday, February 24th. And again, thank you so much just for listening. I am so grateful to every single person again. As I close up the show, I always ask that you hashtag connect with me on my social media platforms. You can subscribe to the KCK Inspiring Moments with Kaylin YouTube channel and turn on your post notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Kaylin Cares 15. You can follow me on Facebook and LinkedIn at Kaylin's Caring Connection. And last but certainly not least, please visit my website, which is www.kaylinscaringconnection.com, to see more about what all I am doing. And as I wrap up the show, you know I always have to let y'all know one thing. You are loved, you are enough, and you matter. Don't let anyone tell you any different. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next Inspiring Moments with Kaylin radio show. Until next time,